Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. Today I have with me Sri Delhi R. Rajagopalan, and we are going to talk about the ongoing conference on terror funding and ways and means to prevent it. This is happening in India right now. To understand more the implications, the objectives, and the success rate, let us welcome our guest of the evening, Sri Rajagopalan. Rajagopalan ji, namaskaram and welcome to PGurus channel.
Namaskar, sir. Namaskar, sir.
Sir, I yield the floor to you. Many people have probably not really been keeping up with the news. What is happening here? Is this part of the G20 leadership, sir?
It is also a part of the leadership. But first of all, my salutations to your viewers and also to you, Mr. Iyer, because you have been very focused on this terror funding. NIA conference was, yesterday was addressed by the Prime Minister. The theme of the conference is "No Money for Terror" is the motto of the third International Ministerial Conference on Counter-Terrorism Financing, and that is being organized in India by the Central Bureau of Investigation. First, the meeting was held in Paris in 2018 and Melbourne in 2019 and 22. Because of the corona, 2 years the conference could not be held. And what I understood is very interesting thing, sir. United Nations Security Council meeting, the Counter-Terrorism Committee meeting was held a week ago in India, and they also concentrated on the 9/11, 26/11, this type of terror attacks. They found out a very interesting thing, Mr. Iyer. The funding is coming from two countries only, basically, and that is being rerouted in several countries. So the focus is, if you go nearer to that, there is a gang, there is a mafia, there is a anti-India, anti-Hindu feelings are all coming up one by one by one. And to take it further, yesterday the Prime Minister's speech was very focused, and he also said that those who go out of the radar, for funding the terrorists, they should be held accountable. Also, he made a very focused theme. And second thing, he said private companies, private enterprise should also be brought in. Because in India, things are very, very, very crucial. After Pulwama, after this type of stone throwing, the NIA is having a very difficult time. NIA, National Investigating Agency, earlier it was under CBI. Now NIA has come out a separate one. But NIA is also very much on these Naxals, ISIS, and my understanding is smuggling of arms, extortion, ransom to finance terrorism, and the criminal activities such as narco trafficking. Most important in this, digital frauds. Digital frauds also lead to certain conclusions from where you can also have credit card scams. So all the banking industry, banking sector are all in a great disarray. The key challenge for these banks and agencies have been the difficulty in distinguishing the terror-related financial activities from legitimate financial flows. If you draw some money and the police suspect you, if terrorist draws the same amount of money, the police do not suspect. What is that contradiction? Why is contradiction? So one has to analyze it very, very carefully, especially. And in the Pulwama attack, I tell you, the National Investigating Agency deducted the transfer of funds to 𝗤𝙬 terrorists through regular banking channels. So bank also play a role in that. That is why Prime Minister was very particular that private industry, so that if private industry, private banking comes into being, you can very easily identify them. And second thing, very interesting thing is, genuine businesses being forced to share funds with terrorist groups to carry out on the regular business activities has also been another theme. The phenomenon can be observed in India in the context of mining infrastructure and building companies operating the Red Corridor. The Red Corridor means, Sushma Swaraj is famous in saying Tirupati to Pasupati, that is from Andhra Pradesh to Nepal. This corridor is also called, a terror corridor. This presents a unique challenge to the law enforcement agencies whether to treat these companies as victims of terrorism or associate of terrorists. We do not know that. One has to find out. And second thing, terror financing has also intertwined itself with illegal hawala, hundi connections, and hundi systems because of several factors, including anonymity, ease and low cost of doing transactions. So things are complicated. Things are not going to be very, very, the National Investigating Agency, though the 2 days conference focused on many important things, my understanding is international community, they have come to one understanding. The success of New Delhi declaration, tomorrow they are going to release the declaration. We will stop funding for terror activities. The one country should not be a soil for, generating terrorism against the another country. For example, in Australia, in Paris, in London, in Afghanistan. So these are all certain countries where you get to know how the terror funds are being, routed through. And yesterday, the China and Pakistan did not attend this conference. Obviously, they know what is going to happen because their resolution is going to be against them. And a senior officer who was confiding certain things with me is the smaller countries like Thailand, Singapore also play a major role, Mr. Iyer. Let us see how it is going to spread its tentacles to everywhere. And to shortlist it, 𝙒𝙧𝙤𝙬, the proscribed terrorist organization, has been regularly receiving funds originating from Pakistan through some frontal organizations called the Jammu Kashmir Hafeez Relief Trust. So what does it mean? The funds so collected were given to active hijab terrorists as well as families of killed terrorists in the valley. In another case, the funds collected in the garb of charity for 𝙤𝙬𝙤𝙬 under the leadership of known Pakistani terrorist Hafeez Sayed were used to finance stone pelting, systematic burning of schools and damage public property. So certain important things. Coming to the recent Coimbatore blast, the NIA has found a tape-recorded conversation. No, not tape-recorded. The recorded conversation between two politicians of Tamil Nadu with the person who is dead in the bomb cylinder blast. And to come very close to that, Kallakurchi conversions, Lavanya, plus this Jallikattu agitation in Marina Beach in Chennai. These are all terror-funded ones. Finally, to come to a conclusion, during the farmers' agitation, the Australian government have come to a secret talk conversation between two groups within the Australia, saying that 1 lakh Australian dollar has been transmitted from Sydney, Melbourne to New Delhi. Can you believe that, Mr. Iyer? Things are very focused. Things are coming to a crux of the issues. Therefore, the 2 days conference, no money for terror funding, is the topic of the subject of discussion of this conference. 82 countries have participated, and effectively, my understanding is 16 or more important countries. So that 16 countries have resolved to ensure in other coming days they will not use their soil to propagate or unleash terrorism on the third country. So if you ask me a question, I can definitely elaborate it further, Mr. Iyer.
So you have about 5 minutes left, right? About 5 minutes left. You have an important meeting. So I have one or two questions. You answered one of my questions. I was going to ask you about the two countries. You already named them, so viewers know that. The second question I have, Rajagopalan ji, is that this money laundering, money layering, getting money into India, this has been going on for a long time, sir. You mentioned two politicians conversation. Can you throw some hint on who these two politicians are?
And the serious investigation by the NIA, the conference also discussed Coimbatore blast because it is a terror-funded cylinder blast. The modules may be different, but the politicians are of a fringe political party in Tamil Nadu. But the investigating agencies are digging more information. He has a connection with Kerala. Through Kerala, he has made 2-3 calls to Istanbul and Turkey. So what does it mean? The politician, whether he is being deployed as a frontal person or he is also succumbing to certain pressures from the international community, or the money is much more. Let us not more reveal certain facts because it will hamper the investigation. And finally, in the New Delhi conference, the entire countries attending, they must reaffirm the commitment to working closely to respond to the challenges, because many countries do not have intelligence sharing. They don't want to share it. Certain, for example, certain developed countries want that countries like India should suffer. That is the if the theme of the conference is that, then Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Mr. Amit Shah, NSA, Ajit Doval's presence will be, you can't take it. They must also actively interact with the sphere of information, sharing on-ground cooperation. That is not happening. On-ground cooperation must happen. The conference must also be followed up by the constitution of intergovernmental working committees, working groups, which can deep dive to propose an integrated action plan to curb terror funding. So let us wait and watch how they are going to treat this one. Tomorrow is the crucial day. Things are panning it out at the highest level, like Union Home Secretary and the Prime Minister office in India. They are monitoring the conference deliberations. They have got some more interesting inputs from neighboring countries. We wait and watch. What is happening in Sri Lanka is also a terror funding. And second, after 2019 and 20, especially after pandemic, the style of funding terrorism is also having a different connotation altogether. So
thank you so much.
One has to wait and watch how it takes shape, Mr. Iyer. And I have a lot of information in the next hangout. We will leisurely talk about the terror funding further. Tomorrow, let us wait for the resolution, Mr. Iyer. And thank you for inviting me to talk on this subject. I was keen more on the Kashi Sangamam and also Tamil Nadu. In a day or two, we will definitely meet your viewers. Until then, I say namaste to my followers and to Mr. Shri Iyer.
Thank you so much, sir. I have just only one question that people have asked, if you can perhaps say. Would PTR become the next Eknath Shinde? Every day he is undermining different TN ministers. Who are the three ministers Amit Shah has his eye on?
Very, very difficult to answer that, Gautam Wal is asking PTR. Let us not get into Mr. PTR because he is a very internationally known personality. Wherever he worked, that bank collapsed. So he is a very nice personality. Eknath Shinde in DMK, I could say it may not be PTR, because PTR does not indulge in petty politics. He is a very rich person, having traveled in a very, very special aircrafts, etc. Therefore, he is fond of international sittings. Therefore, he won't come into this fitting in the Eknath Shinde type. Eknath Shinde means three-wheeler, two-wheeler, and auto rickshaw persons. So therefore, if you go to the lower level, DMK, I am very sure, after Mr. Duraimurugan's comment yesterday that BJP is, evolving itself like a 𝙒𝙗𝙤𝙤, like a ghost. So what does it mean? Day before yesterday, Chief Minister Mr. MK Stalin said that he does not get a sleep because of infightings of the BJP, the DMK leaders. And yesterday, Perisamy and Panivel Tyagarajan had a tape. Duraimurugan is coming out with some sort of new angles. I see something, a pattern like Uddhav Thackeray, Eknath Shinde is developing in Tamil Nadu, Mr. Iyer. I could see that. And today's Mr. Narendra Modi's outreach to ensure that Dravida model is, will crumble. Mr. Narendra Modi's outreach to Ilayaraja was also good at Kasi. So let us deal with this subject in a detailed fashion in the next hangout. Till then, let PTR sleep properly.
Well. Duraimurugan. Tugiluritta Thoran Duraimurugan. I will leave it at that. You can
What does it mean in
understand.
English, sir? Tugiluritta means
He was a Dushasan.
Dushyasan on Jayalalitha, I know.
Even in English, it is rhyming, sir. Duraimurugan,
Yeah,
Dushasan.
Didi.
Thank you so much, Rajagopalan ji and viewers.
Namaskar.
Please like, Namaskaram, sir. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to click on the bell button for notification. Namaskar, sir.
Thank you. Namaskar.